Happy St. Patrick's Day. I don't know a St. Patrick's Day song. Is there one? I bet there is. I don't know. Even though I do have Irish and Scottish ancestry, is my ancestry. But I'm going to do a Tamu haul. But first, I'm going to have a little other thing to talk about. This could be my morning talk show. But it's tomorrow, and tomorrow's not St. Patrick's Day because I'm recording it on St. Patrick's Day. Today in church, somebody gave a little lesson, and they said that long ago, somebody by the name of Patrick, I don't know, went to somewhere, and I think he didn't give the details very well because I was listening, but he said that he took a shamrock with him, and he used it to preach the gospel in the three leaves of the shamrock were the Holy Trinity, the God, the Father, the Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Ghost. And that's how he preached the gospel with the shamrock. I never had heard that before. So that, except I always, like the pin I ordered is a 4-leaf clover. So do you want a 3-leaf clover or a 4-leaf clover? I'm overlooking a 4-leaf clover. That song is about a 4-leaf clover. But anyway, so if you want to think of it in that way, the Trinity, that's pretty good, I thought. So he converted people to Christianity. So that was nice. Okay, what else am I going to talk about? Things that have been said in my comments. I hate bringing that up because, we can all comment. You have your freedom of speech. I know some people delete the bad comments. I'm not, unless it's really bad, I'm not going to do that because everybody has their opinion and you can say what you want. And I don't think you should be silenced or deleted because people have done that to me before. And it's like, I have a right to say what I think and want. And so I want to clarify. When I was driving, I had my camera on a hook thing up here. Now, I look today when I was driving. I look straight ahead, and then I look in the rearview mirror, but I'm still aware of the lines in the road. I look over this way, I look over this way. I have peripheral vision. I don't have tunnel vision. It's only looking straight down the road. Now, I had a friend, and she was my mother's friend, but she was my friend too, because her daughter and I were best friends growing up. But my best friend died, Melanie. She died. She had the frontal lobe dementia. She was a couple years younger than me too, but she died, and that was sad. My best friend died now. But her mother remarried because her father died, and she remarried. And the man that she married had tunnel vision, only could see a little tunnel through his vision. I don't even know how it works or whatever. Well, my mother then had to crack the joke like, oh, so he can only see half of me at a time? Does that mean I look thinner? So maybe we want to know, friends, that if tunnel vision, because then we look thinner. Do you like it? I got to wear these too today. And then I'll put it up. I'm taking this all down. Can't wait. Sick of it. Okay, so back to my comments about driving. And so one lady said, and your brother's a cop. What would he say about that? Well, since I wasn't reading while I was talking, and I wasn't pushing buttons, I didn't have to hold the phone. I think holding the phone is more dangerous because then you don't have control of the wheel and what you're doing. So holding the phone, I wasn't holding it. It was up here. And when I had to move it, I pulled over every time to do stuff, even with the kids in the back. They needed help and stuff. I pulled over. I didn't try to go like this, and because I think 2 hands on the wheel is the important thing. And like I say, I passed the doctor's eye test when it came to peripheral vision, and they do that swinging thing around, and when you see it, you hit the thing, the eye doctor. I passed it. So I didn't feel I was endangering them because all I was doing was talking, as if a person was sitting in this chair and I was talking to them. You would glance over at them once in a while, but you still keep your eyes. Plus, on the freeway, there wasn't that much traffic, but on the freeway, that truck's that far ahead of you and that car's that behind you. So you don't have to stare at it continually. You look at other things and multitask when you drive. So I didn't feel like I put anybody in danger. And that's why I bought that thing, to hold the phone. And I started the phone. I pulled over when I started it. And then I was doing things safely because I would never endanger anybody that was traveling with me. And how would you feel if you got in a wreck with your grandkids? That would be just the worst thing. Well, how would you feel if you got in a wreck with your own kids? How would you feel if you got in a wreck with yourself or your husband? Horrible. So, and I do not drink, so I'm not even drinking and driving or anything. So, and I know the law. You're not supposed to do texting and driving. I would never do that. I think talking is a little different than texting and driving. All right, the next comment, that I should not talk about my ex-husbands or my in-laws on here, or my steps or anything. I'm only supposed to talk about myself. That would be very boring if I only talked about myself on here. And all of my family, they don't care if I talk about them. My brothers, everything, they don't care. And as far as talking about my dead ex-husband to the grandchildren, I mentioned something about that, and the lady said, oh, you shouldn't talk about him in front of them. I've been very careful about my boy's dad because he's still alive, and I'm not going to say anything bad about him, and I don't think I really have too much. I said that we fell out of love and the marriage broke up. You know that. But the second husband's dead, and he was the one that beat me up, went to prison for 14 months. The whole family knows about it. My children lived through it. The grandkids haven't heard it, but I want to teach them that this is what alcoholism can do to people, ruin people's lives. They have inherited his genes, and they could have inherited alcoholism. So don't drink, because you could end up like that. So I'm using him as a teaching tool. And don't be brutal to women and beat them up, and, don't put up with it. And I tell him I said, he has good points. I married him when I loved him, and he has good points about him, and he was smart in areas. But the alcohol ruined him. And when he was a mean drunk, and, I had to go to therapy because he beat me up. Instead of that lady saying, oh, I feel bad for you that he beat you up and you had to go to therapy for that. Instead, she felt like I was saying bad things to my little grandson. But I only am doing it to teach him. I have very fond memories. When you're married to an abusive like I was, and when he was drunk, he was very bad and mean. But when he was normal, he was nice and treated me good and called me Mrs. Boo Boo. And, he treated me good. And I loved him. And that was why it was so hard, because then when he left me, when he left to go get drunk and he came back, it was like a different man, Jekyll and Hyde. And so then it was hard to stop falling out. It was hard to fall out of love with him and stop loving him. Because then when he got sober, he felt bad for what he did, and he was so nice then. So I try to use it as a teaching tool to my grandkids. So I'm not bashing him. He had very good qualities, and he was smart, and he did good things. And I tell them that stuff too. But then I say, don't be like him and don't do that. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that. And then another lady put one time, I mentioned something about my ex-daughter-in-law because she was in an abusive relationship. And I don't know what I said that made her say, well, I can tell you've never been in an abusive relationship. And so what did I say back? Well, I can tell you never listened to my early videos that I made. If you haven't watched my previous videos, because I've made over 320, 340 videos, you could go back and find the one about how I met my husband, how I was abused and almost killed by my stalker, how my baby died, how I had a baby in the car, other topics of my life, not just Tamu, because I do have other things to talk about. So go back and look at those, because I don't want to do them again. But it's all stories that are true and how I became what I am today. How did I become? I am not bitter, because to me, all of those life experiences that I went through helped me grow and gain wisdom. How am I not? I'm not bitter. I'm not resentful. I'm not feeling sorry for myself. All it made me do was be so grateful for what I have today, so thankful that I was directed in the right places to be and go to have the life that I have now. I believe that God directed me to my husband I have now because we were 1,000 miles apart. How could we find each other? It was a divine intervention there to meet it. And he had 50 other women he was writing to, and he picked me. First time I won something. And then, so that makes me happier. I had a baby die. This is my next Tamu haul right here. Get ready for it. I had a baby die, which made me realize that all this little stuff in life, the small crap, it doesn't mean anything. Only sweat the big stuff. Only cry about the big stuff. I'm not going to cry that, something broke or the car got crashed or dented. I'm not going to cry about any of that. I feel like I ate before I came on. What did I eat? In church, I had heartburn so bad, I was about ready to die. And it was almost over, so I told my husband, I gotta go get something for my heartburn. So I ran to get a Rolade at the corner store because I didn't have any in my purse. And my house is too far to go just to get a Rolade. So I ran into the store to get some Rolades and a drink. All right, and a little taco snack. But now I'm going to have heartburn all day probably because I'm sick. No, I'm not. So I am a happy person, not bitter, and joyful, because there's a difference between happiness and joy. We older people know that. You can get happy because you got to go to a concert, happy because you got to shop, happy, but that's not joy. Pure joy is the big things in life, the meaningful things, seeing your child excel, seeing a grandbaby be born, seeing your family love each other. Those are joys in life. So I have gained wisdom through my trials, and that's why we have trials. Now, it seemed like there was something else I was going to bring up, if I could recall. Yes, I remember. I am sitting. Do I have my purse here? I can use visual aids. I got visual aids. Okay, look at my purse. This is my St. Patrick's Day dress with my green shoes, which I took off over there. And I used this green purse the first time I've used my green purse. And I wore a black coat with a shamrock on the lapel, which is kind of a different shade of green, but it was okay. So that's what my outfit today was. All right. So as I'm looking in here for my Maverick card, because I was getting that drink, and if you have enough, use your card enough, they give you, you get, after 10, you get a free one or something, I don't know. And the scrounge that I am, want a free one. So I was looking in here, in this little purse I have, for my Maverick card. And I'm going through here. And guess what I found? I lost it again. No, guess what I found? Look what I found in there. I forgot. I still don't know when I put it in there. I suspect I put it in there when I went on my last cruise or trip, and I stash money in case, something gets stolen, you still have a spare. Anyway, it wasn't manna from heaven, but it was manna from myself and my own memory. So I got $100 richer. Not really. I had $100 in savings I didn't know I had. So happy. So now, what will I do with it? I'm going to keep it in savings because I'm going on a trip. Have we planned it? No. I know it's in April, though. So, am I using it for gas? No. I heard somebody complain about the gas prices, and they voted for Biden. Well, I don't know who they voted for, but it wasn't who I voted for, I don't think. Anyway, I wanted to say, maybe you should have been more careful who you voted for. Vote for somebody who allow the drilling in the United States, how we are sitting on top of our own oil, and our gas prices could be cheaper if you vote for the right person. Oh, wait, I'm getting political. Sorry. It's just when you go on a trip, you think about that. Because in Oregon, the gas is like $5 a gallon. California, they're always more. And we want to go to Yosemite and we want to go Oregon. And that's where the gas prices are more. So, and now at this time of year, they're going up. It's just reality of life. I'm not trying to sway you but we need to get our own oil and not have to go to Russia to get it or wherever we're trying to get it from. Because, if you have your own, people wonder, why do I have all my food supply and all my toilet paper supply and when I watched, I think it was Katrina. Anyway, it was some disaster, and all these people in the community didn't have any place, they didn't have a bug out, they didn't have a place to go, their houses were flooded. They all went to that big giant football stadium or something. I don't remember what it was because I'm not a football person, but they went there and they were relying on the government to feed them and help us, help. I would never do that. If it was me, even if I had to walk, I'd be like a pioneer and get trucking out there and find my own food in my own way. Get a ride to somewhere else where it wasn't bad. And, my husband knows how you get cattails and pull them back and eat them. And I would be scourging and foraging for myself. And that's why I have my own preparations, because I'm not going to rely on anybody else to come rescue me or help me. I always have ways of taking care of myself, because I'm not going to sit here in agony and pain waiting for the government to bring me a flashlight or a bag of food and water. I got my own. And so I can help others. So think about that. I know if you live in a big city, you don't have land and you don't have cattails growing, or you don't have, they taste like celery and thistles. You could, dandelions, all that stuff's edible, but that has to be in the summertime. In the wintertime, if the national disaster apocalypse hits, I hope it's in the summertime here, because there's more to eat. But I always say, when it happens, if anything happens with the economy in the world and we're in dire straits, Jamie and everyone else will be losing weight, and they'll go, Jamie and Angela sure haven't lost much weight like the rest of us. Why? Because we have all that jam in there and all that food, plum jam. Jamie makes so much jam and beets. He canned 97 pints of beets, cinnamon sugared beets. Tastes like dirt to me, but I'll eat them because I wouldn't want to lose my weight. Or I think beets are diet. There was a joke my son told me, though. It's so funny. I'm going to tell it wrong because I'm not a good joke teller. But this comedian guy said, well, I had my second colonoscopy. And then he goes, I know, you're wondering, you look pretty young to have had to have 2 colonoscopies. And he said, had my first one 10 years ago because I ate a beet salad and I had medical insurance. And then you're supposed to have your second one 10 years from the first one, so he had a second one. But I just had to laugh because if you eat beets you might think you need a colonoscopy. I never had one yet. Okay, that's my morning talk show for St. Patrick's Day. And my next talk show, the St. Patrick's will be gone. And I told my husband, I thought green was your favorite color. He goes, yeah, it is. I said, well, then how come you didn't notice I'm wearing green? He goes, oh, yeah, you look nice today. He forgot.